like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, except Mr. Smith is a NASCAR driver and Mrs. Smith owns a contracting company and also heads up an Armed Forces Foundation as well out of Washington, D.C.
Meet Mrs. Smith.
Have you been a fanboy?
Yeah?
Have you violated international law?
Huh?
This is a story right now that's on ESPN.com. Kurt Busch says X was a trained killer. The NASCAR driver known as the Outlaw testified Tuesday he believes his ex-girlfriend is a trained assassin dispatched on covert missions around the world. Now, Kurt Busch said that everyone on the outside can call me crazy, but I've been on the inside. I know what's going on. I've seen it firsthand. His attorney, Rusty Hardin, questioned why he still believed Patricia Driscoll is a hired killer. And in an interview late Tuesday, Driscoll called Busch's assertion ludicrous, saying that he's taken it straight from a fictional movie script that she has been working on for 8 years and that he has, thus far, proofread. Now, Busch, appearing in court again over Driscoll's request for a no-order contact, continued to push for his legal team to discredit his ex as a scorned woman out to destroy his career, portraying her as a character fit for a screenplay. He recounted one time in El Paso, Texas, when he said Driscoll left in camouflage gear and then later on returned in a black trench coat with blood-spattered gown underneath. A day earlier, Busch said his ex-girlfriend told him she was a mercenary who killed people for a living and had shown him pictures of bodies and the gunshot wounds. Busch said Tuesday that Driscoll had claimed that the female character in Zero Dark 30 was loosely based off of her and a few other females within the government. Now here is a brief background on Patricia Driscoll. Patricia is an American businesswoman and author and native of El Paso, Texas. Driscoll now heads a national charity, the Armed Forces Foundation, and she is the CEO of a surveillance system company, Frontline Defense Systems LLC, both out of Washington, D.C. Last month, Michael Donchev, who served as a personal assistant to Busch and Driscoll, said an Aileen Driscoll told him in September that she had been picked up by a big man and slammed to the ground while helping round up immigrants at the Mexican border, a story Donchev considered far-fetched. But Donchev said Driscoll also asserted that she was a trained assassin for the U.S. government and once told him, "I take down foreign governments. I own Washington." Well, here it is. What do you think? Is this just a regular soccer mom? Is this just little old Patricia Driscoll who is a businesswoman? Or is she in fact a trained assassin? Or is Kurt Busch out of his mind? Has he driven that NASCAR one too many times and breathed in those fumes that have completely made him lose his mind in every way possible? And he has completely come up with this, fake story that she is this Vatican assassin who goes out on late night missions, comes back in blood spatter gowns, and runs Washington.
All right, thank you, Joe Biggs. And when we come back after this break, Darren McBreen will close out our show with a special report, The History of the CIA.
2015 is almost here, and with it comes those New Year's resolutions to finally transform your body the way you want it. There's a reason over 88% of New Year's resolutions fail. Make this year different by equipping yourself with Oxy Powder, the next level in cleansing the body naturally. Using super oxygenation, Oxy Powder, available through InfoWarsLife.com, gently cleanses the body while you sleep with easy capsules. Tens of thousands of individuals have used Oxy Powder to cleanse their bodies and aid in their transformations. Even InfoWars Nightly News Director Rob Dew has been using Oxy Powder with incredible success.
Took it that first day, then I took it for 6 more days after that. 12 pounds melted off in about a week. I'd say a week, 7 days.
2015 can be different. Diet and exercise are important, but a lot of us have already tried that. Oxy Powder flushes it out. Secure your Oxy Powder at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. Sold out for weeks due to the difficult and extensive proprietary process behind its creation, the exclusive InfoWars Life Secret 12 formulation is now back in stock. in the last limited shipment of 2014. The most bioactive form that has been created with our proprietary process. This ultra-clean vitamin B12 nutraceutical has been carefully crafted and developed over the last 2 years and is based on cellular science of how your body actively absorbs essential nutrients. Secret 12 is taken by mouth, right on the tongue, and then swallowed. No needles, no injections. Vitamin B12 deficiency is linked to scores of serious problems. And Secret 12 is a fusion of 2 organic proprietary forms of vitamin B12, bringing you a true nutraceutical quality vitamin B12. Secret 12. Secret 12 is an excellent Christmas gift and is tailor-made to boost your New Year's resolutions. Supplies of Secret 12 are very limited. Secure yours today at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.
In 1933, Marine Corps Major General Smedley Butler was approached by a wealthy and secretive group of industrialists and bankers led by none other than Prescott Bush to overthrow President Franklin Delano Roosevelt and establish a fascist dictatorship right here in the United States. During that time in history, Smedley Butler was the most decorated Marine of all time, and the conspirators believed he could command a rogue army of 500,000 World War I veterans to stage a coup d'etat and overthrow the United States government. The plan to install a fascist dictatorship by force was exposed when Major General Smedley Butler blew the whistle and identified the ringleaders in a testimony given to the United States House Committee on Un-American Activities. The committee concluded that Butler's allegations were true, but incredibly, no one was charged, and the majority of the media blackballed the story. Senator Prescott Bush, who is the father of George Bush Sr. and the grandfather of George W. Bush, went on to help finance Hitler's rise to power and even continued business dealings with the Nazis well after America entered the Second World War. It wasn't until his company's assets were seized in 1942 under the Trading with the Enemy Act that his financial ties with Nazi Germany were finally dissolved. At the end of World War II, Operation Paperclip was launched by the Office of Strategic Services, the OSS, to smuggle known Nazi war criminals into the United States for recruitment into U.S. intelligence agencies. The Nazis were cleared to work in America after having their backgrounds bleached by the military. False employment histories were provided, and their previous Nazi affiliations were completely removed from the record. The OSS provided a model for the Central Intelligence Agency that was established in September 1947. The CIA specialized in propaganda, economic warfare, sabotage, and demolition. By the early 1950s, they controlled over 25 newspapers and wire agencies and had 3,000 plus employees engaged in propaganda. Journalists willing to promote the views of the CIA included members of the New York Times, Time Magazine, Newsweek, The Washington Post, and CBS Television. The CIA's rise to power gave birth to the military-industrial complex. And by the end of Eisenhower's presidency in 1961, it had become evident that the federal government could no longer control the agency. The CIA had gone rogue.
I appeared before the Congressional Committee, the highest representation of the American people, under subpoena to tell what I knew of activities which I believe might lead to an attempt to set up a fascist dictatorship.
Does America owe its edge in military technology to Nazi war criminals brought here after World War II?
The truth is that thousands of former Nazis, some of whom committed atrocities, went to work for the United States government.
Do you have any people paid by the CIA who are working for television networks? This, I think, gets into the kind of getting into the details, Mr. Chairman, that I'd like to get into in executive session.
At CBS, we had been contacted by the CIA. As a matter of fact, by the time I became the head of the whole News and Public Affairs operation in 1954, ships had been established, and I was told about them and asked if I'd carry on with them.
We're really talking about intelligence at the highest levels of the U.S. government, setting the broad direction for the nation.
Have you brought with you some of those devices which would have enabled the CIA to use this poison for, we have indeed, for killing people? But also the toxin itself would not appear in the autopsy? Yes.
Well, when the president does it, that means that it is not illegal.
If you've been anywhere near a television set or a radio these past few hours, you already know that John Lennon of the Beatles is dead. He was shot late this evening in front of his apartment building in New York City.
Despite evidence that Noriega was involved in drug trafficking, Bush kept Noriega on the payroll.
We interrupt your regular programming to tell you of a plane crash in northeastern Minnesota, where we have just had confirmed a short while ago 8 people were killed on a small beach aircraft that was on its way to Eveleth, Minnesota, including Senator Paul Wellstone of Minnesota. And according to the senior staff in the senator's office, not only the senator, but his wife Sheila, his daughter, 3 members of his staff, and the 2 pilots.
The CIA has been and is now completely out of control.
The accusation is that drugs are being sold by the Contras and that the CIA knew about it and didn't do anything.
Shots. God. These are the agents immediately diving after the assailant. There are 2 or 3 people down on the ground.
An assassination attempt. The president was hit, but pushed immediately into the limousine and rushed to the hospital.
William Colby has been missing since April 27. His canoe was found washed up on the banks of the Wicomico River April 28.
He's missing and presumed drowned.
The United States tonight declared in effect that Panama's General Manuel Noriega is a threat to this country's national security.
When George Bush became director of the CIA in 1976, he inherited Noriega as a contact.
When you read these outrageous charges by a drug-related, indicted dictator, discount them. They are total lies.
In 1976, Flight 455, which took off from Venezuela bound for Cuba, suddenly exploded. All 73 passengers and 5 crew members aboard died after the plane crashed near Barbados. Four of the terrorists were found to be Latin Americans contracted by the U.S. One of the attack's masterminds, Posada Capriles, currently lives freely in Miami.
Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists.
I will tell you, Director Deutsch, as a former Los Angeles police narcotics detective, that the agency has dealt drugs throughout this country for a long time.
Let us never tolerate outrageous conspiracy theories concerning the attacks of September the 11th.
The numbers about potential civilian casualties, I take with a somewhat big grain of salt. Let us bomb these places.
What does that make Hillary Clinton to the Bush family?
My sister-in-law.
I love Bill Clinton.
J.P. Morgan.
City of Austin tap water versus filtered City of Austin tap water.
I can taste dirt in it.
God knows what's in this.
This has an aftertaste.
Tastes like Austin water? Yeah, it does. Ugh.
These people just sampled City of Austin tap water straight from the faucet. Next, we had them try a sample of tap water filtered through the ProPure G2.0 filtration system.
High quality H2O.
That one is better.
Tastes like nothing.
Yep, I know what good water tastes like. It's good water.
Most tap water contains added substances like fluoride, chlorine, Monsanto's deadly pesticide, glyphosate, and many others. Studies prove that these substances are linked to an assortment of major health issues, including tooth decay, lowered IQ, and even cancer.
It tastes like you're drinking out of the lake when you're drinking tap water.
Yeah, it has that processed flavor to it.
The ProPure